Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. I'm Jared Blickry, and I have a very special guest with us, Dan Roberts, Editor-in-Chief of Decrypt. I've never said those words before. He used to work for Yahoo Finance, worked with him for years. And Dan, it's great to hear your voice. I'm not able to hear you.
Great to be back on, Jared. Let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin.
Yeah, man, the technicals look bad, sliding below 30,000 again. I've been talking about this level forever, so is everybody else. You look at a 1 month chart, been sliding off. What's up?
Well, there's so much that we could talk about. I think part of this is kind of summer doldrums. You know, we wrote a week ago about all the different factors that have happened in the last few weeks. I mean, China's crackdown on mining has not been good. Regulators coming out against Binance, which, you know, in the US, you might not hear about Binance as much as you hear about Coinbase, but it is the largest crypto exchange in the world. More and more regulatory bodies all over the world have come out and basically said Binance isn't licensed to do business in our country. And a number of global banks have also cut off customer access to Binance. And then there's Elon Musk and his continued negativity on Bitcoin. All of that is kind of the background for this whole pullback that we've seen since April, when Bitcoin hit all-time highs at 63,000. But now as it drags on, part of me thinks that this is just broader summer doldrums. Of course, for you guys at Yahoo Finance, the other thing I'd point out is that we often discuss whether Bitcoin's price is correlated to stocks. And at most times, they've looked pretty uncorrelated. But in the last few days, as you've seen more concerns and jitters about the Delta variant, and obviously that hit stocks and bonds pretty hard yesterday. I know stocks clawed back today. Bitcoin has looked pretty correlated. I mean, experts will tell you that if stocks are to continue to fall in the next 2 days because of the Delta variant concerns, you're likely to see Bitcoin fall further. And of course, we talk about key resistance levels. I think you just mentioned Bitcoin today falling below 30,000 for the first time in a month. No one can say what the floor is going to be on this Bitcoin pullback. But again, I think some of this is just summer, and that come fall, you might see some revival here. But man, second week in a row that Bitcoin saw institutional outflows rather than inflows.
Yeah, I want to get your take on something. I correspond with somebody just about every other day when Bitcoin is moving, Yves Lamoureux. I call him the Canadian whale. And he had his theory. So we both know that last May we had the halving. But when China cracked down on the miners there, we saw a second collapse in the hash rate. If you look at the hash rate, it actually crashed and now it's rebounded. It looks like, to me, like it's inflected. So with all these weak miners, and you can think of it as a market clearing event, it's kind of like a flush. With all these weak miners out of China, some of them resettled elsewhere, some of them didn't, some of them went away, some of them went away last year. My point is there's less supply, which is bullish for the future, and you don't have as many people in the network. So I thought if 30,000 held, which it hasn't fallen out of bed, I thought that we could get back up because of that inflection. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts on that are.
Well, Jared, I love that you want to get into the weeds with this stuff. And you're right that the hash rate fell dramatically. I mean, when people look back at April, you know, or at least mid-April when we saw that big run up, you're right that all the Bitcoiners said, see, this was the overhang of the halving. We were right. The halving did have a big impact on price. Of course, in the immediate days and weeks after the halving, you didn't yet see that big run up. So people said, oh, I guess it wasn't a big price boosting event. But by April, people were saying, yes, it was. It just took a few months to kick in. But China's crackdown was really poorly timed. You're right. I mean, it kind of happened just at the moment when Bitcoin was really on a surge, and who knows how high it could have gone without that. Again, I mean, there's so many factors, it's hard to say what's been the most significant. My vote is probably China. But to your point, we have seen the hash rate creep back up. And I think mining is starting to migrate to other areas. I mean, you're seeing the US really become the leader in global crypto mining. Of course, people have a lot of concerns now about the environmental impact. So what's going to happen there? And those concerns and that kind of narrative is going to continue to hang over the price.
Yeah, we got time for a quick question here. I'm going to give you the floor to talk about anything you're writing, whatever's grabbing your eye today or tomorrow even.
Okay, let's do it. Jared, I would point to FTX, which is another big crypto exchange. You know, I still love to touch sports business when I can, and sports and crypto keep converging. We've written about FTX recently because it continues to spend big money on sports marketing deals. And, you know, they're just flush with cash. The site has done very, very well. It's a bit more of a sophisticated crypto exchange for derivatives traders. Now today, announcing a $900 million fundraise that values FTX at $18 billion. very interesting kind of young, engaging CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried, who has done some tall talk at times about what he wants FTX to be, companies he thinks FTX could acquire. So, of course, Coinbase is still the closest thing to a household name because it went public. But I would tell all the Yahoo Finance viewers to watch out for more news coming on FTX.
Yeah, and who knows, we got the Robinhood IPO next week. Dan Roberts, Editor-in-Chief of Decrypt, thank you so much for joining.